What is up, mortals? It is Trina here with a new video for you. Welcome to What If Deku Met Ryoko Part 17. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So we begin. Izuku hovered to a stop in front of Aizawa. The logical man noticed that Midoriya was covered in dirt and had a few bruises on his arms. He wasted no time in getting to the point.
Midoriya, what happened to you?
The green teen quickly explained what happened. He explained how he and Ryoko had gone looking for Kota. He explained his battle with Muscular when he found Kota. Aizawa listened intently to Izuku's explanation. He was impressed the boy had so few injuries. It also seemed that Kota was safe. Aizawa thought to himself,
Midoriya has come a long way in a short amount of time. You should not have fought the villain, you were just a student. But considering the situation, you had no choice. Anyway, where's Ryoko?
We went separate ways when we got into the forest. She went to help the others trapped by the poison gas cloud. She said she was immune to most poisons. Aizawa got an alarmed look on his face.
Poison gas cloud?
Izuku quickly explained how half of the forest was on fire and the other half was covered in a poison gas cloud. Aizawa thought to himself, the fire had been bad enough, but now this. The intelligent man knew there was only one option, but he did not like it.
Midoriya, I will take care of Kota from here. I want you to get back out there and help your classmates. They are going to need your healing abilities.
The determined youth nodded in agreement. He had planned on doing just that. I will, Sensei. I need to get to Mandalay and have her deliver a message to the other using her telepath. The villain I fought said that they were after Kacchan.
That is even worse, Midoriya. Give Mandalay a message from me. Have her tell the other students that they are allowed to engage in combat with my permission. Also, heal your wounds before you go. They might slow you down.
Yes, sir. Midoriya took a moment to do as his teacher commanded. He focused his healing energy throughout his body. An aqua aura enveloped him. The cuts and bruises on his arms faded within a moment. He then removed his new blade from the sheath on his back. He figured he better repair that while he was at it. He focused his Light Hawk energy into the blade. Izuku could feel the structure of the blade. It was in better shape than he thought it would be. However, the blade's atomic structure was fatigued. A few more blows and the blade would crack and break. Izuku used his power to repair and improve the structure of the blade. These repairs should allow the blade to better handle his power. After that, Izuku took off toward Mandalay's location. Aizawa picked up Kota and ran back toward the campground's main building. Back at Mandalay's location, Spinner was about to slash at Mandalay with his knife blade when Izuku swooped in. The teen charged his blade with Light Hawk energy and released an energy slash that cut through Spinner's knife blade. That left the scaly villain empty-handed and with a shocked look on his face. Izuku landed next to Mandalay, his sword drawn, as her lizard-faced opponent moved back a few feet. Mandalay, I need you to send a message with telepath. Mr. Aizawa has given the students permission to engage in combat with the villains. This statement surprised Mandalay. However, she understood the grizzled man's reasoning. She used her power to deliver the message without delay. Also, I need to tell you to let the others know the villains are after Kacchan. I need to go and help my classmates. You and Tiger can handle these two. Mandalay tried to ask who Kacchan was, but Izuku was already leaving. Magma tried to attack Izuku, but he was stopped by Spinner. The two got into an argument which allowed Tiger and Mandalay to knock out and restrain the two villains. Izuku opened his Durian senses to their maximum. After a few moments, he had located all of his classmates. Bakugo was with Todoroki, and the two were in battle against a dark presence. It must have been one of the villains. Izuku wanted to fly towards the two, but sensed that someone else was approaching the two boys. The greenette knew that the presence he sensed was Melissa. This made the teen relax a little. He knew that the blonde could handle anything the villains could throw at her and protect Kacchan. Izuku continued to search for the other students. He saw that Ryoka had found Yaoyorozu and was fighting a Nomu-like signature. He also sensed that Kendo and Tetsu from Class B were moving in on the center of the poison cloud. He then saw where he was needed. He sensed Tokiyami's life force, but it was weird. His signature was much larger than it should have been, and Shogi was running from him. He zipped off in that direction. Meanwhile, Melissa had received Mandalay's messages. The fact that the villains were after Bakugo was not good. She had left her partner, Ojiro, with some 1B students to find Bakugo. She remembered that Bakugo and Todoroki had gone after her and Ojiro in the test of courage. If she followed the path, then she would find Bakugo. As she ran, a stabbing pain assaulted the front of her brain. She knew this was the fourth user's power, Danger Sense. Melissa quickly ducked behind a tree. She then carefully peered from behind the tree. She saw a villain with swords for teeth. She figured that this is what triggered her power. The villain was attacking Todoroki and Bakugo with wave after wave of swords. The two powerful students were on the defensive. Melissa wondered why. Then it occurred to her that the boys could not use their full offensive power or they would set the woods on fire. That would only make the situation worse. Melissa watched for several minutes, looking for the right opening to strike. Finally, she saw her opening. The villain was leaping through the air, dodging a wave of ice. Melissa activated Black Whip and shot the tendrils toward the villain. The dark energy wrapped around the bad guy, which surprised the villain. Melissa cranked OFA to 30%. She then yanked with all of her might. The villain came crashing down right in front of her with a loud bang. Not waiting for the dust to clear, Melissa charged forward and unleashed a powerful barrage of punches and yelled, "Minnesota Smash!" The villain's teeth cracked and shattered under the force of Melissa's blows. As the dust cleared, Todoroki and Bakugo saw Melissa standing over their opponent. The two were surprised to see their vice-class representative standing there. She looked like she had not even broken a sweat taking the guy out. This amazed Todoroki, but it just made Bakugo madder than usual. The atomic blonde thought to himself,
I was just about to take out that villain. How dare she show me up and look so cool doing it?
Melissa turned to look at her classmates, a huge smile on her face. This only enraged Bakugo even more. Glad to see that you two are safe.
Thanks for the help, Melissa. The guy was a lot to handle. Speak for yourself, Icy Hot. I would have flattened that villain if Blondie had not gotten in my way.
Unlikely, Bakugo. If you had attacked that villain full force, you would have burned the forest down. Also, you are more blonde than I am, or did you forget? Bakugo ground his teeth in frustration at Melissa's comments. Anyway, did you guys get the telepathic messages? Todoroki answered coolly.
We did. It seems like the villains are targeting Bakugo.
So it seems. It would make sense that we stay close to Bakugo while we make our way back to the campgrounds. That way we can protect him from any villains that show up. After all, we do not know how many of them there are out here.
If it was me, I would only attack with a small group of elite fighters.
Really, Bakugo?
Yes. When Handface attacked the USJ, he went in with a large number of villains, but they were all weak. That Tooth guy was on another level. It is likely that Handface learned his lesson and chose his fighters more carefully. It is likely that there are only a few attackers this time. They are using both the fire and gas clouds to cover the fact that there are so few of them.
That is quite an intelligent analysis.
I know all that because I am not an idiot. Well, I don't like the idea of accepting help. It makes the most sense for us to stay together. There may not be many enemies, but they will be as strong or stronger than Tooth Guy.
True. I have a feeling that Midoriya is involved in this.
Oh, I know he is. We will probably run into him as we head back to the camp. He is not the kind that will stand by while people are in danger. He would help people even if it meant getting into trouble.
The other two nodded at that characterization of Izuku. The three gathered together and headed back to the campgrounds. Meanwhile, Awase from Class B was running through the woods in a panic, dragging Yaoyorozu, who was bleeding from the head. The two were being chased by a large green Nomu with 4 arms. Each arm was topped by a drill or a chainsaw. The two thought they were finished. Neither one had the raw power to take on this creature. Momo was trying to think of a plan of action when the creature was hit by a blinding light from behind. The Nomu then flew over the two panicked students' heads and landed behind them. Standing a few feet behind where the Nomu had stood was Ryoko, her hands raised before her. Ryoko!
Hey there. Hold on a second.
The white-haired girl flew over to Nomu. The foot soldier was getting to his feet and looked like he was going to renew his onslaught. Ryoko had a quick stop to that by delivering a powerful blow to the side of the creature's head. She then unleashed another powerful blast of energy at her enemy. Momo saw the fight occurring in front of her and got an idea. In an urgent voice, she shouted, "Ryoko, stop!" Ryoko stopped beating the monster and let him fall to the ground. She turned to her dark-haired classmate.
Why, Momo?
The tactful girl clenched her fist and a light appeared inside of it. She opened her hand to reveal a small electronic device. She turned to Awase.
Awase, use your power to stick this to the villain.
The boy from 1B looked confused.
I don't know why, but okay.
The lean boy ran over to the creature and welded the device to it.
Good, let's get out of here while the villain is out.
Ryoko had an idea of what Momo was up to. She looked at both of her fellow students and knew that Momo was right. Their safety came first. Ryoko picked up Momo and had Awase hold onto her neck. She then flew off at high speed, but not top speed. She figured that her passengers were not like that. As she flew, Ryoko opened her life sense. She quickly located Izuku. She knew that Momo probably had a concussion in addition to the bleeding wound above her eye. The quicker she was healed, the better. Fortunately, the green teen was close by. Ryoko adjusted her flight path to intercept Izuku. Meanwhile, Izuku was surfing through the forest on his airboard. He was following his Jurian senses to the location of Shoji and Tokoyami. As he neared the site, he was hit by a massive arm-like structure that seemed to be made of pure darkness. The blow knocked the wind out of the green teen and sent him flying through the air. Before he passed out from lack of air, he felt 3 power sets of arms catch him from behind. After a few minutes, Izuku caught his breath. As he woke, he saw Shogi hovering over him. The multi-armed teen signaled for Izuku to keep his voice down. Izuku then saw a giant shadow monster roaming the woods. "Shoujo, is that Tokoyami?"
Yes, we were attacked by a villain. I lost a hand in the scuffle. Tokoyami was so angered by seeing me hurt that Dark Shadow went berserk. He tried to contain his rage, but that just made Dark Shadow even more uncontrollable.
Izuku looked Shoji over and saw that one of the boys' tentacles had a cut on it and was bleeding. Shoji explained that the wound was not serious, it only hurt really bad. Izuku nodded in understanding. He knew that his classmate was in no physical danger from the wound, but he would have to treat it later.
Tokoyami is very loyal. I will deal with this and then I will treat your wound. Wait, Midoriya, can you really handle Tokoyami in this situation? He knocked you out a few minutes ago. The only way for us to control him is with light, and there is very little out here.
Izuku smiled at his masked friend. "Don't worry, I can handle this. I should be able to produce enough light to weaken Dark Shadow." This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN allows you to change your IP address, making it harder to track and securing your privacy. In addition to providing safe passage through the web, you can also expand the reach of your favorite streaming services like Disney+. If you're from the United States, you won't be able to watch any of the MCU and Sony Spider-Man movies, but by switching your location to Japan, you can access them whenever you want. Check out the link in the description to get 3 extra months when you purchase the 12-month subscription plan that costs $9.99 a year. This deal's for a limited time, and thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Izuku walked into the clearing, much to his classmates' amazement. The green teen knew that his Light Hawk could produce light, but he had never used his power in this way. He was very worried. Looming over Izuku was the presence of Dark Shadow. The creature was now truly monstrous because of all the darkness. Izuku could see his friend straining to control his own power, but he could tell that it was of little use. As Izuku activated his power, a voice spoke in his mind.
That is an interesting tactic, Izuku.
The teen knew this voice. It was the figure of light from earlier. "This is not a good time to talk, Bright."
"So you decided to call me Bright, huh? Why is that?"
"I thought about calling you Light, but that was too obvious. Now I need to focus."
"That is why I am here. Your plan is sound, but if you try to do this by yourself, then you will pass out. That would not be a good thing in this situation."
"Okay, Bright, what do you suggest?"
"Let me guide you. With my help, you will still have plenty of energy to help your friends in the trials that await you tonight."
"What does that mean?"
"You will see. Do you consent to my assistance?"
"Okay, let's do this." A warm sensation flooded Izuku's body. He felt a strange force overcome him. His energy started to flow in a strange way. His aura became visible, starting as an aqua green but then becoming a brilliant white. His arms and hands moved in a strange pattern in front of him. Suddenly, an orb of bright white light formed in his hands. The teen then threw the spear high into the air. The glowing object hovered there. Dark Shadow saw the object and tried to back away. Izuku waved his hand through the air and the light ball grew in brightness. Izuku thought to himself, false daylight. Dark Shadow was overtaken by the blinding light of Izuku's attack. As the light subsided, Tokoyami sat on the ground gasping and crying. He was horrified that he had hurt Shoji and Midoriya. Both boys told their dark classmate not to worry. They were not mad at him. Midoriya then told the boy to get up and help them. The fight against the villains was not finished yet. Izuku thought to himself, "Thank you, Bright." Bright spoke back in Izuku's mind.
"My pleasure, Izuku. We'll be seeing more of each other in the future."
With that remark, the Enigma being's presence disappeared from the green teen's mind. As Izuku was healing his classmates' wounds, a pair of voices called to him. "Midoriya!"
"Izuku!"
The green teen looked in the directions of the voices. He saw that it was Melissa and Ryoko. Melissa was followed by Todoroki and an irritated Bakugo, so he was okay. Ryoko was flying through the air carrying a student from 1B on her back. What was of more concern was the fact that the white-haired girl was carrying a nearly unconscious Momo in her arms. Izuku knew that this needed to be seen about quickly. The groups met up, and Izuku used his power to heal everyone's wounds. Momo was the most serious. It turned out the tall girl did have a minor concussion. She also had low-level blood loss, but that was very minor. Izuku placed his hands on the girl's head and channeled his energy through her. After a few minutes, she stood up, no worse for wear. Everyone was glad to see the girl back on her feet. The group then discussed what their plan moving forward should be. The group agreed that they should stick together. Bakugo did not like the idea of being protected by other people, but he went along with the plan. Izuku used his senses to scan the area. He sensed that they were not far from Uraraka and Asui. He could also sense that the two girls were fighting a villain. Izuku decided they better help them. Then they could get back to the campgrounds. In short order, the group arrived on the scene of Asui and Uraraka fighting the demented villain Himiko Toga. The unhinged villain was pinned to the ground by Uraraka. However, Toga had stabbed the pink-cheeked girl in the leg with the device that was extracting her blood. It was a horrifying scene to see. Toga saw the group and decided to cut and run. She knew that there were too many opponents for her to fight, and she had no wish to die tonight. The group asked both Asui and Uraraka if they were all right. Both girls said they were all right. Izuku healed their wounds and found they had only minor injuries. That was a relief to the teen.
I'm glad to see all of you, but what are you all doing here?
We were protecting Kacchan from the villains and making our way back to the camp. Both Uraraka and Asui looked at each other with confused looks.
If you are protecting Bakugo, then shouldn't he be with you?
Panicked looks covered the group's face as they saw that Bakugo was gone. Not only that, but Tokoyami was also missing.
Looks like I'm the one to catch Bakugo.
The voice came from a masked villain wearing a top hat.
The League of Villains feel that the Hero Society is too constraining on its citizens, so we felt we would help some of the next generation break free of their chains.
The group were all shocked that this villain was able to slip past their group and grab their friends.
Our target was Bakugo, but I thought Tokoyami was also being changed, so I decided to grab him too.
Todoroki unleashed a powerful wave of ice to try and disable the villain. The villain just leapt out of the way and used the treetops as his escape route. He leapt from one tree to the next with agility that would make a monkey jealous. Momo spoke in a frantic voice.
Ryoko! Midoriya, get after him!
Both teens looked at the dark-haired girl.
You two can fly. You will be able to catch up with him faster than the rest of us. We will follow on foot.
Everyone nodded in agreement. Izuku and Ryoko took off in pursuit of the villain. After a fast-paced chase, Ryoko and Izuku caught up with the villain and tackled him to the ground. The two students tussled with the villain. Even though their enemy was not that strong, he made up for it by being as slippery as an eel. At some point in the struggle, Ryoko managed to get her hand into the pocket of the villain's long yellow coat. She pulled out 2 small blue beads. She smiled at this. She had seen the strange man stash the orbs as he dodged Todoroki's attacks.
Izuku, I got them!
She displayed her prize in her hand. Izuku nodded in understanding.
Good, let's disable this villain!
Just as the green teen said that, Ryoko grabbed him and threw him to the ground. A massive stream of blue fire shot over the two. As Izuku's vision cleared to form, he looked at Ryoko, who was draped over his body. Normally, having a pretty girl laying on top of him would have made him very uncomfortable. However, this was not a normal situation. Izuku saw that his friend's back was a mass of burned skin, a patchwork of red and black. The rank smell of seared human flesh assaulted Izuku's nose. The concern for his friend overrode any social awkwardness he might have felt. Ryoko was super strong and extra durable. To leave this kind of damage, that fire must have been extremely hot. Izuku carefully placed Ryoko on the ground next to him and got to his feet. He looked around and saw where the fire came from. Standing off to the side of the small group was a tall man with black hair and a patchwork face. The menacing man held his hands out in front of him, each with a blue flame in them. The evil look in his eyes sent a chill down Izuku's spine. The man unleashed another wave of blazing blue fire at Izuku. The bold teen summoned a light hawk shield at the last minute. The shield blocked most of the heat, but even with that, Izuku could still feel the air in the shield heat up. The tall man walked over to the masked villain.
I heard you got the target, Compress. I did, Dobby.
The top-hat villain, Compress, removed his mask and spit out 2 more blue beads from his mouth. Seeing these beads sent a shock through Izuku. He reached down and gently plucked the beads from Ryoko's hand. As he did so, the orbs expanded into ice crystals.
You two are so proud of yourselves for picking my pockets. Remember, I am an illusionist. If I let you see me put something in my pocket, it is because there's something I don't want you to see.
Izuku made a move to get the orbs, but Dobby sent another wave of fire at him. This made it impossible to exit his shield. 2 more villains joined Dobby and Compress in the cleaning. They called themselves Toga and Twice. As the villains gathered, Kurogiri appeared in a shadowy form. The Dark Servant then opened portals to allow Toga and Twice to escape. He then opened another gateway for Dobby and Compress. Compress held the 2 orbs containing Tokoyami and Bakugo aloft like 2 trophies. The 2 villains were about to back through the portal when a red blur hit the 2 villains. The blur then grabbed the orbs out of Compress's hand. The blur then ran over and stopped by Izuku's shield. The blur resolved into the form of Melissa's shield. Melissa! The girl turned to Izuku and held the orb and spoke in a victorious voice. Sorry it took me so long, Midoriya. I saw an opening and grabbed the orbs. Good job, Melissa! You saved Kacchan and Tokoyami! Dobby got a disappointed look on his face as he looked down at the unconscious Compress.
You blew it, Compress. If you hadn't been showing off, then we could have gotten away with those kids.
The patchwork man grabbed Compress by his collar and dragged him through the portal.
Well done, kids. Please let this victory go to your head. but we will be back again and again until all the so-called heroes are no more.
With that dramatic statement, Dobby disappeared into the black inky portal Dragon compressed behind him. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I'd like to thank our patrons: Beatty Flames, Ethan Davis, Terry Chills, Shifter Mellies, Adam Dagel, Zill, XAV Beto3, and Joshua Phelps. Secondly, I also like to thank all of our YouTube members: Toy Acosta, Rob the King, Sith Lord 906, CF2364 and Knuckles, Review Tempest, Angel Wars, Donald C. Stewart, Bryant Greer, and Demonized Fox. Thirdly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Fourthly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years old to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. And if you want more content from me, check out my live streams on Twitch at TrinaDoHeart, and also check out my YouTube and Twitter at TrinaDoHeart as well. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching, and have a great day!